Hi, and welcome to another episode of the SkyoöD-Vu P.O.V show. What you're about to see is actually the intro for the video I initially intended, but that didn't quite work out. So enjoy, I'll explain later on. So it's Tuesday, and I'm heading off to the junkyard, so see if we can find a part that I wanted to go get for the trunk the last time I went. Hope this works well. Got my new Alpine Stars neck gaiter since the situation. Better than these masks that I've had so far. I've had it for about a day or two now, and I really like it. So, came from Amazon. So if you're looking for something that's a little more comfortable than a mask, I would recommend these stretchy gaiters. And you get them all kinds of cool designs at Amazon. So, all right, that's off to the junkyard. Though I got to pick up some cash first, and I also want to maybe see if I can find an LED light, because I realized that paint booth I showed in the video, or maybe I didn't show in the video. Depends on how I have to edit this in, anyways. So I gotta go ahead and see if I can find a light that I can put in there. The only other question I had was, how do I protect the light from any of the fog from the paint when I'm spraying it? So I thought maybe saran wrap. Don't know if that's gonna work. I'm worried about the saran wrap getting melted onto the lens of the, is lens the right term? On the light, either way. Or I guess I could heat it with a light coat of WD-40, so it would, whatever paint would get on would just get on the oil of the WD-40 and would be easy to wipe off. So we'll check that out. So off we go. So as I described the intro, the original plan was to pick up some supplies, a light, and basically create the sort of temporary paint booth that I want to be able to use in the garage for Project Audi A7 and Project Red T Daily Driver, my Audi A3, and of course any other future paint projects. So unfortunately that didn't work out, and I'll explain, you'll see why it didn't work out in a second. I was crunched for time. I wanted to get to the junkyard. So that being said, hopefully those of you who were stationed in Ramstein in the last 30 to 40 years, maybe you'll get a kick out of seeing your old stomping grounds and how much the town has changed. So what we're heading up here is basically up on the Landstuhlerstrasse, I believe is the main drag through Ramstein, and hang left, and this will lead you out towards Ramstein Air Base. And coming up here on the left-hand side, in just around this bend shortly, will be the Alt Ramstein, or the Alt as it used to be known, favorite drinking hole of Ramstein, any K-Town high school kids who happen to live in the Ramstein area. And it's right here on the left. Now it still says Alt right there, it says Alt Ramstein on it, but as far as I know, it's not an up and running business. They just never took the signs down. But it should bring back some memories from those of you that were going to school here in the Ramstein area. So up here on the left-hand side, this used to be an old Spar supermarket, then it was the SBK supermarket, and the last iteration was Thomas Phillips, which is sort of a leftovers type place. So, and here you see the reason, that long line. I would have probably been waiting in line for at least half an hour, which would have only given me 30 minutes at the junkyard, so I scrapped that idea and decided to do a big convention around the facility. But as I was saying, Thomas Phillips has pretty much everything under the sun. They go to companies that are going out of business, or companies that have overstock, and they buy it from them and then resell it there. So you can pick up some really good deals. Just got to go there on a regular basis. And of course, I don't think it's just that. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that they buy, maybe designed or they buy in bulk for their resale. So if we were to head left, we'd see the Esso station. On the left-hand side is a Shisha sports bar, or hookah bar. Actually used to be a Kentucky Fried Chicken for a number of years. Barely 3, I think. So headed back into Ramstein Village. And coming up on the right-hand side now again will be the Alt Ramstein, or the Alt as everybody knew it back in the day, right there. This is no longer a 50 zone as it used to be. They try to reduce the traffic speed a little bit because it is a residential area, and so it's the 30-kilometer section. Now this is obvious by the big 30 painted on the road. This road used to actually, the main drag went straight ahead, but then they this open lot on the right-hand side, the parking lot, there used to be a building there, and old building, and in that used to be the Zeile, which was another very popular hangout where a lot of Americans and Germans got together. So it was sort of a cultural get-together type place. Great little Italian ice cream spot on the straight hand. And here they've narrowed the traffic and brought in some old cobblestone to reduce the speed area, so it's a little bit narrow. I generally don't drive this road because everybody acts like it's a shortcut and they can avoid the traffic light that's further down by the crossroads, or the railroad crossing rather, and generally this is the reason why I won't go through. Maybe late at night, after 2 o'clock in the morning when you're coming home from late dinner or visiting friends, that might be okay to drive through, but as a rule, I generally go the other route, go through the traffic lights. To me, it's just less hassle. But I mean, they did a nice job. It looks very nice. It looks appealing, but it's also hurt the traffic. The businesses, so let me rephrase that. So basically, a lot of old established businesses went out when they blocked this off to reduce traffic, to avoid noise and congestion down in outer town. But that also means people don't see what stores are open. So a lot of the old stores that were around for 30, 40 years finally went out of business because they just weren't getting the foot traffic. Of course, big box type stores in Kaiserslautern and Landstuhl did their share to kind of do damage to mom and pop shops. On the right hand side is actually the way to the city hall. Back in the day, on the left hand side, this building right there on the left, that actually used to be a little of a drinking hole too, I guess, at one time. This is one of the reasons I don't like on this road, because you don't have any priority coming from the left or the right, because the priority of road swings to in front of you and to the right there. So we're headed to the edge of Ramstein Village. I believe this is the Steinwendestrasse. I don't know half the street names in town. I don't never have had a good ability to memorize names, but you may remember Pizzeria Anna on the left-hand side, no longer around. Of course, Opel dealers, amazing that they're still in business. And all this didn't exist left and right past this Opel deal didn't exist up until about 82, and this on the left not until about late 90s, I think. All new development area. In fact, half the houses on the left-hand side are owned by Russians. Who would have thought, as a child of the Cold War and being associated with the U.S. forces, that one day U.S. citizens or service members would be renting property from Russians that build homes here. And those Russians I would say, are not what you would traditionally call Russians. They are basically an ethnic group that has German ties, and were basically, I don't know how to say, I wouldn't say they were manipulated in Russia, but they didn't have the best of times under the old Soviet Union. And so when the wall came down, the German government actually encouraged them to come to Germany, basically. Of course, with Germany's negative birth rate, they're looking for as many people to come in, and since there is a German blood tie, it was maybe a little easier to stomach. I just think it's really odd that those same Russians probably only spoke German behind closed doors in Soviet Union, and then here they tend to speak Russian, so that the Germans don't understand what they're saying. So we're going to take a right here, and this is going to take us on the backside of Miesenbach, which is part of Ramstein/Miesenbach, so the combined city of. I love this little road. I've been driving this for many years. It's a favorite of mine to kind of beat the traffic. If I know the traffic's piling up going on the main gate to Ramstein, then I usually take this as a way of circumventing around towards Mackenbach and coming up Ammo Road, the backside of the Woodland Golf Course to kind of get into the east gate of Ramstein Air Base. On the right-hand side, just right about here on the tree line break, is the tennis club. We're shortly entering the Miesenbach portion of the town of Ramstein, consolidated town of Ramstein-Miesenbach. That big building on the right-hand side used to actually be a Ford dealership, and on the left was the service base and the actual garage for the Ford dealership. So as we make a left here at this intersection, then immediately to the right you'll see this original town hall of the village of Miesenbach, before it was incorporated with Ramstein. And they used to have their little Christmas truck, and on the left they just put up a brand new supermarket of Oskau. Seems like it's a never-ending stream of new buildings being put up. Of course, most of it being rented by American service members and civilian support people. On the right-hand side is all new area again, and then a little bit older established buildings have been there for more than 30, 40 years. This next section of back road that connects Miesenbach to Mackenbach has always been a favorite. I love the tight right-hand sweep that are coming up. It's a little off-camber. It was, before they repaved it, it was actually much more off-camber before, so maybe it's on-camber, but you could really dive in. The road was really angled at that point there in that curve. Up on the left, you see that tree line. Right at the edge of that tree line is the Kaiserslautern Golf Club, or the Barbarossa Golf Course, I believe it's called. Full 18-hole golf course. Supposedly a nice restaurant. I've never actually been up there. The guy who owned the Zeile in Ramstein was given some money for giving up his business and having to build demolished, and they actually gave him at a good rate the old train station, and he had a restaurant there for over 25 years called the Paradox, and then about 10 years in ownership he then built up the golf course restaurant as well. And now we're into Mackenbach. So this may be some familiar sights to some of you that are Ramstein High School alumni or stationed at Ramstein. Mackenbach's always been a nice little town. Not a lot going on there, but hey, it's probably a good place for families. Well, not probably, it is a good place for families. It's a very low-key place. And has grown a lot also compared to, it's probably twice the size of what it was 30 years ago. And we're going to make a right here and head to Base. This road right, this section as of yet has not been redone, but coming up here there are going to be a sharp left, and that section of road all the way to the edge of town, that was closed off for well over a year, probably almost 2 years. They were doing a new canals, a sewage system, new phone lines, and getting everything set up. Of course, they narrowed the road, widened the sidewalks, and also it's a reduced speed area as well. The little bakery still there on the right-hand side. That's been there as long as I can remember. And here you see with these pavers, this is the newer section of the road. So instead of 50, this is a 30 zone, which is good. I mean, it's just too narrow to speed through at 50, without a doubt, especially when the residents are parked on the main street, which they're basically forced to in many cases. There's not enough room for them to park even on their own properties. It would be converted to a garden area where they can't basically park. And one final traffic circle. Of course, these have been popping up like mushrooms all over Germany. The road we're headed to right now is what's called Ammo Road. It's the backside of Ramstein Air Base. I call it the backside. It's actually the east end of Ramstein Air Base. And on the right-hand side, you would eventually see the eastern part of the Woodlawn Golf Course. If you like what you heard and like what you saw, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.